Welcome to Transcend's Network Marketing Academy 9-10. This is week 4, part 1. And today we're going to be talking about your event or your part of your webinar. So when you first signed up, this 30-day to success kind of outline you're doing is at the end of the 30 days, you're going to have some type of a event, whether you do an online webinar, if you're more of a techie person, or you do like a house party, or create some type of event. If you feel like you're going to have enough people, you can rent a hotel conference room or something and invite everyone there. Whatever you chose to do, we're going to talk more about what this is. But first I want to talk about the difference between selling and educating. Because at this event, you don't want to sell a product. You want to educate people about a product. And so when you think about selling, there's different types of sales tactics. Okay, you think about like a retail store or an online store and how they sell product. And what's the motivation behind a retail store selling product or an online store selling product? What's their main motivation to sell? Making money. They're trying to get you, they want to exchange, right? Because money is an exchange tool. They want you to exchange your money for their product or service, right? And so they want to get you to buy something from their store or from their website. And so they'll spend lots of money advertising to get you to come and buy something from them. In fact, I met with a CEO of a big car dealership, and he was expressing how they would spend over $45,000 a month on just TV advertisements. Okay? Why would they spend $45,000 on TV advertisements a month? To get more people to come into their dealership to look at their cars, to buy their cars, right? And they're willing to invest that amount of money because they know the return is going to be greater than that, right? Because not only are they spending $45,000 a month in TV advertisements, but they have all their employees and their overhead, their electricity. Can you imagine how much the electric bill of a car dealership that's got all this big, huge lot lit up all night long, right? That's going to be an electric bill like out the wazoo, right? That's going to be a huge electric bill, not to mention to heat the facility, to, everything. So they're investing a lot of money, but they're also making a lot of money off of that. What about a door-to-door salesman? Their approach is a little bit different, right? What's their motive to sell product? Why are they knocking on your door to get you to buy something?
They make pretty good money too.
They make pretty good money too, but who's making the most money, them or their business or their product they're selling? Mostly the people that develop the product, they're making a very small percentage of what the other person's actually making by selling the product. Right? But again, it's based on money. They want you to give them your money, and they're going to give you some type of a product or something, okay? How about network marketing? What's the motivation behind selling? What's your motivation to sell your product or your business?
Make money plus help people.
Make money plus help people, right? And if you're trying to help people, you may not be selling so much as you're educating. We're going to talk about that, right? But a lot of people in network marketing just want you to sign up so that they can make money. In fact, I had a lady call me. We were acquaintances. I knew her, and enough where she felt comfortable enough to call me up and say, hey, I'm trying to meet a goal. I need to sell one more thing this month to meet my goal. Would you be willing to buy some product? Okay, was she educating or selling? She's selling. Okay, so what's the outcome of retailers who just advertise to sell? And if you listen to TV commercials and look at different advertisements, you're going to start to distinguish between are they selling or are they educating? And there's both. But if they're just selling, people get what they want. And sometimes more. You ever walked into a store and bought what you were looking for plus something else? Right? And that's why they're willing to sell and spend money on advertising, because they know when you get into their store, you may not buy what they were advertising, but you might buy something else. Or you might buy what they were advertising and something else. And so that's kind of a retail store. And this works, and it's been around for a long time, and that's why there's so many retail stores. And now we're kind of shifting to an online store and less retail stores, because it works. Whether you're selling or educating, retail stores work that way. Door-to-door salesmen, though, what happens is you feel pushed into something you don't want because they're so pushy at the door, right? They're not going to back off. They're going to keep pushing and pushing because they want you to buy their product so they can make money. Because if you don't buy their product, they just waste all that time at your door and didn't make any money. And so they get really, really pushy. And so either you buy something you don't want, or you end up saying, get off my lawn kind of thing, and you get mad and frustrated. But it ends up in a negative thing either way, whether you buy something and feel guilted into buying something you don't want, so they'll leave, or whether because you can't say no, or whether you have to get really rude and say no because they won't take no for an answer. It's always a negative thing. Network marketing can be the same way. You get really pushy with your friends and family, and then you burn bridges and you frustrate your friends and family because you're trying to push them in. You should support me. You should be willing to help me do this because I'm trying to do this. And and you're putting it back onto them again, and then they feel guilted into supporting you, and then they sign up and they buy a few products, whatever, and then they don't, and then you're mad. And this can be a typical network marketing experience if it's done wrong. Okay, so let's talk about educating now.
Stephen Covey says on page 241 of his book, says the amateur salesman sells products, the professional sells solutions to needs and problems.
Exactly.
And I thought that was
exactly where I'm going with this.
okay.
and no matter which sales training program you take, you're going to hear something similar to this, right? Because that's the truth, right? If you're an amateur salesman, you're going to sell product. Why do network marketers fail? Because they're amateur salesmen selling product instead of selling a solution or a problem, or educating them on a solution to a problem. And that's when you're an educator instead of a salesman, you're going to educate people on the product, how it resolves their pains, fears, and frustrations. Okay, that's the difference. If you're just selling a product, you're just going to say whatever you think that they want to hear to get them to buy the product. If you're educating them, you're giving them facts, you're giving them information that's going to resolve and fix a problem of theirs. So the motivation behind an educator, okay, retail stores do educate. So if an advertisement is, we have 50 cars to choose from, and starting at payments as low as $200 a month, is that an education or a sales ad? Sales, right? But if they say we have 50 cars to choose from, we have economy cars, we have sports cars, we have trucks, we have SUVs, we have cars that fit single people, we have cars that fit big families, we have cars that get good gas mileage, we have cars that have lots of power to pull trailers. Is that a sales or an average or an educator? Okay, that's an education, right? Because they're telling you this is what I have, instead of and this is why you should come by. I have something to fit everyone's need on this parking lot, right? The first ad was just, I have cars and they start at this price. Great. Well, maybe I want a truck to pull a big trailer, heavy my big boat, right? Do you have a truck to pull my boat? You just told me you had a car and it starts at this price. That didn't really say much about, right? And so some ads advertise and some ads sell and some ads advertise. Who's going to buy? Who's going to go to the car dealership if all they're talking about is we have cars starting at $200 a month? People who only want to pay $200 a month for a car, right? But if you let them know that you have cars that start $200 a month, you have trucks that pull heavy trailers, you have cars that get good gas mileage, you have cars that hold lots of people, you have cars that are fast and fun, then now all of a sudden you just educated about what really there is, okay? And the difference is when you educate people, especially at the retail level, you have people seeking you out for your product. And you oftentimes you'll see both educational ads and sales ads because they're trying to hit both markets, okay? They want people seeking them out and coming and finding them. When a door-to-door salesman educates you, okay, he's teaching or she's teaching you about their product. And the end result is you buy a $2,000 vacuum because your $400 vacuum is not good enough anymore. Because they did such a good job at teaching you about their vacuum and how much better their vacuum is that you're willing to pay $2,000 for a vacuum that's going to clean your carpet just like that $80 Walmart vacuum would. But why would you pay $2,000 for a vacuum when you could buy one for $80 at Walmart?
Cleans better.
They taught you and showed you how much better it was, which then says it's worth the $2,000.
I just figure I'm buying new carpet.
It's cheaper to buy new carpet. Well, what they didn't tell you about that $2,000 vacuum is that it sucks the dirt so well, but it also pulls the fibers out of your carpet, so your carpet, it gets thinner every time you vacuum, and then you have to replace your carpet anyway. They didn't bother to mention that part about the vacuum. They just showed you how well it pulled the dirt out of the carpet, right? But no, I mean, there's a difference between educating and selling a product. And which one do you want to be? Do you want to be a salesman or an educator? And you get way better results when you educate. And so in network marketing, you want to be able to teach people about your product and your business in a way that's going to be effective. And when you do that, you get people signing up in your downline that's not guilt-tripped, it's a positive experience instead of a negative experience. And people who have a hard time with network marketing had a negative experience. That's it. And so if we can teach network marketers how to sell correctly, we're going to eliminate this negative mindset about network marketing, because people will stop having bad experiences and they'll start having good experience with network marketing. And when you run your network marketing business like a business, you're going to have positive experiences rather than negative experiences. Any questions so far? All right, so let's talk about teaching. How do you teach instead of sell a product? Okay, so if you're going to teach about a product instead of sell it, you've got to identify the person's fears, worries, frustrations, doubts, and problems. Okay? If you don't know that about the person you're talking to, you're selling. You've got to identify what is their pain, what is their frustration. This is why a hot market, your friends and family, they call it a hot market or warm market, because you should know these things, which makes it easier to sell or educate them than someone you don't know. But the problem is we usually burn the bridge within the first couple days on that market, right? We tell everybody about this thing before we understand what it is. So if you can identify those pains and fears, frustrations, the problems that they're having, now you know how to explain your product in a way that the product's going to solve their pains, problems, frustrations. And if you're explaining to them how your product resolves their pains, fears, and frustrations, purchase is the only obvious, logical solution. And then you're not selling. They're wanting the product. You're not trying to push a product on them. They're begging you. They're asking you, yes, I want the product, because now they understand how the product is going to solve their pains, fears, and frustrations. That's how you teach instead of sell. That's what the vacuum person did that got you to buy a $2,000 vacuum or a piano or whatever you really think about it. A really good salesman, right, is actually a really good educator, and they're able to identify that. And even like you walk into a car dealership, and if a salesman comes up and starts talking to you, they're chit-chatting with you about the weather, about whatever. A good one is they're asking questions that's going to give hints towards your pains, fears, and frustrations. And you think you're just having a pleasant conversation. But they're probing you, looking for those, so they know how to present the car to you in a way that will get you to want to buy the car. So can you do this with your product? Do you know your product well enough to do this? Okay, the first 7 days of being in this 30-day outline, right, this 30-day success program, you should have learned about the product and the compensation plan well enough that you can do this. If you haven't yet, you need to go back and review those videos that explain the product and explain this, because you want to be able to do this very effectively. Okay, once you've identified their pains, fears, frustrations, can you effectively teach them about your product and how it resolves that? Okay, if you're doing a house party and you're inviting everyone in, when you're talking about the product and you're relating it how it solves problems, don't identify people's problems in public. Like, so if you have a group of people to party, like, oh yeah, hey Bob and Lindsay, you guys have been struggling with infertility, and this product solves infertility. Like, right? You don't like do that in front of everybody, right? Because that's not going to create trust. That's going to create distrust, embarrassment, right? But what you can do is you can generally touch upon it. And one of the things this product's really helpful is it's been proven to help with infertility issues. And you don't point the finger at who's struggling with infertility, right? You just announce that you know that they've been struggling with that. That's one of the pains or problems, and that your product's going to help with that, but you don't identify who that problem is related to, right? And so you can still touch, as you're teaching to this group and teaching these people about the product, touch upon those pains, fears, problems, frustrations of the group without identifying whose pains, fears, and frustrations they are. But just generally address those. And what you're doing then is now those people that have that pain, fear, frustration, the light bulb turns on and goes, hey, this is interesting. This is something that I want to learn more about, something I want to try, okay? And if you can do that effectively, it's very helpful. You're also going to want to provide some evidence, okay? You've identified the pains. You've taught them how your product's going to resolve that. They're going to want some proof, right? Everyone wants proof. Everyone wants evidence, okay? So this is where demonstration, the vacuum guy, right? He dumps dirt on your carpet and then takes his vacuum and runs past it, takes your crappy vacuum, runs past it. Evidence, look how much more my vacuum dirt picked up than yours. Look at the floor color difference, right? They're demonstrating how their vacuum is better. They taught you about the vacuum, they give you evidence about the vacuum, and you're like, wow, I want to buy that vacuum, okay? If you can't demonstrate how your product is going to resolve it, sometimes a free sample is also a form of evidence. But if the sample, like if it takes you a week of taking this product before you start to see benefits, giving them a free sample at the party, is that going to create evidence? Because it takes a week before they start to feel the difference, right? And so that may not be a good form of evidence, especially if it's nasty. You just gave them evidence that there's no way they can take that every day, which is the opposite of evidence that you want to give, right? And so be careful that, free samples can be helpful, but make sure the free sample gives evidence of something that you're trying to sell or resolve, right? Testimonials are always good. Having someone else talk about how it's helped them, whether it's your story, someone in your upline story, and how the product helped is always a good form of evidence. Okay, once you've identified the problem, told them how your product's going to solve it, provide evidence, that's when you now invite. Okay, and again, that invitation to purchase the product, to do the business, whatever you're selling, that should be just the logical solution. Like, duh, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I shouldn't have to think twice about this because that's just 1 + 1 = 2. Yep, 2, I want 2, okay. And it's just that simple and easy form to fill up or to sign up, okay. If they say no, then you have to resolve the concerns. A lot of times when you get no, what happens?
You just give up.
People say no all the time. Have you ever told your kids no? Do they give up? No. But again, you don't be pushy. You resolve the concerns. And there's a difference between being pushy and then just resolving concerns, okay? And so maybe someone says, no, I'm not interested. And you can do this in a public, like as a group, or you can do this in private. And it depends on the situation, who you're talking to, right? So for example, and there's sometimes people, even before they invite, they'll say, are there any concerns or questions? And that's a good way you can resolve some as a group, some basic common questions or concerns. But if they don't accept the invitation, then you've failed to help them understand how this solves the problems, or there's something that's keeping them from wanting, okay? So if they have a health problem and you have a health product that resolves their health problem and they don't want that answer, what could possibly be a problem? Money, right? Well, to sign up, it's $500. The packet you get all this product, you get some samples, it's $500 package to sign up. Well, what's your concern? Well, I love the product and I like the idea of getting rid of my thing, but I don't have $500. Well, great. There's a $100 sign-up package, and so you can start with the $100 sign-up package, and I've got this 30-day program that's going to help you succeed to where you'll pay $100, and by the time next month rolls around, you're going to be getting your product for free. Would that help? Do you want to sign up now? Right? You identified the concern, you resolved the concern to where now if they say no, now what's the problem? If they said money was the problem why they weren't signing up and you just solved the money problem, now what's the problem?
There's got to be another one.
There's possibly another problem, right? How many problems do you push through before you feel like you're being pushy? It varies with each person. You've got to learn to read that and recognize that, right? If they're getting uncomfortable, if they're getting all shifty, it's not because they're crazy, it's because they're annoyed and frustrated, okay? Watch for those nonverbals, okay? And you'll start to identify some of that. But maybe after that, you just say, okay, that's fine. When you're interested, let me know, right? So don't be too pushy, but don't give up so easily either, okay? And help them resolve their concerns. And sometimes the first concern might just be an excuse, right? If you know they have money and they say, I don't have money, then you know that's just an excuse.
What would you say if it's, oh, I gotta talk to my husband?
I have to talk
That's
to my
a really
husband.
big one.
Oh yeah, which is
that's my
smart, right?
spouse.
Just drop $500 and not tell your spouse on something. For some people, that's a big no-no, right? Depends on how much money's flowing in. If they have millions of dollars, then you can drop $500 and the spouse doesn't blink twice about it. But if they're on a budget, $500 is a big chunk of money, and you better check with your spouse on that one. So that is a legitimate reason. So how would you resolve that then? I'm interested, but I can't sign up right now. I need to talk to my husband.
You might have to talk to the husband.
What's hard is the husband wasn't there to be educated, so they just tell the wife no usually or whatever.
So how would you resolve that? That is a concern, and it's a legitimate concern, right? You don't want them spending $500 and then busting their personal budget and pissing their spouse off. That's the last thing you want them to do, right? So how can you resolve that? Great. Is there a time I can swing by and I can talk to you and your husband about it? Because now you're not leaving it up to them to try to educate the spouse. Do you want them educating the spouse, or do you want to educate the spouse?
Yeah, definitely yes.
Right? You want to be the one to educate the spouse. So who should you invite to the party? Just one or both?
Both.
Ideally, you want to invite both.
What do you do when the spouse will absolutely just says no and won't even commit to be educated? Just leave them alone?
Yeah, if they don't want to meet with you. But if you can, at all possible, get in front of the spouse and resolve the concerns. They have concerns. I've done network marketing before. That doesn't work. Oh, well, they're going to have some, thing going on. And again, it's ignorance. It's just educating them on ignorance. And where the 910 Transcends 910 program is free, you can still have people that are interested but haven't signed up start watching the videos, because they're going to learn why. The introduction video talks about why do network marketing. We talk about the real scam, corporations or network marketing. Powerful video. If the spouse is caught up in network marketing, it's a scam, blah, 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 because he's had a bad experience or known someone had a bad experience. Have the spouse show them that video. Say, just come watch this video with me. And use the videos to educate people about what network marketing is. And that may resolve some of the concerns. But if people say no, it's because they don't understand. It's ignorance that causes people to say no about almost anything. And so you've either failed to teach them how it's going to resolve their pains, or they have some other resolved concerns that you need to talk about and identify. So, but again, it's doing this in a professional way where you're not being pushy. No one wants a pushy person, right? Whether it's a used car salesman, whether it's a door salesman, whether it's just a jewelry salesman, the pushy ones people just get frustrated with. And so don't push, but be willing to resolve concerns and be respectful of time. One of the other things too is, and some people are just naturally good at this and some people just don't even care. But if you're meeting with someone one-on-one, like at their house, be very respectful of their surroundings. If they're kids, if they have a lot of little kids and they're just being really noisy, it's 8:30 at night and you can tell it might be bedtime and the parents are getting frustrated, end it. Don't keep pushing through because you feel like you got them hooked and you're going to get them to sign up before you leave that room, right? Just say, hey, I can tell that you guys are really busy right now and we don't want to keep you from your kids or from whatever's going on. Is there a better time we can come back and finish teaching you about whatever it is? Like, don't be afraid to walk away from a situation without getting the sale. Does that make sense? I've experienced that as well with people where they're just so even like a door-to-door salesman where like something is going on, I'm totally distracted, they don't even recognize it, they're still just pushing and pushing because they're afraid if they walk out that door they're not going to get a sale, which may or may not be true, but it doesn't do any good to keep pushing through and frustrate them even more and piss them off. You're definitely not going to get a sale to keep pushing them into a bad situation. So pay attention to the environment you're in with them, and are they comfortable, are they distracted, are they bored, and don't keep going if they're not interested. So okay, so here's a suggested outline for educating people. So at your event, so if you're doing an event or a party or webinar, this is an outline you may want to follow that tends to be effective when it comes to teaching and closing deals. You're going to want to start off by welcoming everyone, especially if it's a group. Express appreciation and recognize they just gave you their time. How valuable is that? Recognize that. Let them know how appreciative you are that they were willing to take time out of their busy schedule to come here because they trusted you, because they're interested in what you said. Okay? They're not obligated to be there. They sacrificed time to be there to listen to you. Acknowledge that. Okay? You're going to share your story right off the get-go. Okay? Talk about why you are doing what you're doing. Talk about your pains, your fears, your frustrations before you started taking the product or before you started doing the business. Financially, I was struggling. I was wanting to start a business, but I didn't have, $100,000 to start a business. And so I was looking for ways where I could become a part of a business and get started up and have my own business. And I found this great business that allows me to partner with them, because they should know it's network marketing by now. You didn't deceive them in getting them there about a product. They should know what you're doing. And you're just really excited. Keep it, that you're excited about this product. It's so helpful. And you're excited to represent the product and partner with this business and explain those fears, those problems, and then talk about how the product solved that. And this is where you're going to start talking about what is the product? What's it made of? Why is it important? What does it do, right? So what is it? What does it do? Or why? What is the product? What does it do? And how is it going to fix their pains? Okay, and that's what you want to put in this teaching about the product. It should all include what is it, what does it do, and why is it important to them? Okay, and that's where you talk about the benefits of it. You can also, as an option, you could have someone like in your upline share their story after you've taught them about the product. It's always good to have your story. That's most important because they trust you. They came to hear from you because it's your business and you're selling it, right? Not your upline. You're selling it. And so you got to feel comfortable enough you can talk about this. And then have your upline, but make sure if your upline tells their story, make sure it supports what you're selling, okay? If you're selling product and not a business, and then your upline tells a story about how successful they are selling and doing the business side, that just contradicted what you were just selling, okay? And so whatever you pitch, whatever you invite the people to, sell that, and make sure if your upline tells their story that it supports that, and let your upline know what you're pitching and what you're selling. I'm not selling business, I'm selling product, or I'm not selling product, I'm selling the business. So make sure their story supports that. And then you invite and close the deal, okay? And that's just kind of something you can do, an outline. If you have a better outline that's more effective, feel free to use it. This is just a suggested one that works where salespeople are able to work through that to get to that closing side.
Do you feel like it's better to share a story first or teach about the product first?
Share the story. Because right out the get-go, they want to know, why am I here? And by sharing your story of your pains and fears, one, you're going to relate to some of them because most likely they have some similar fears and pains that you did. Then you're going to talk about how this product fixed it and how your life is better now. That creates an interest for, okay, now I want to know what is she doing? What is this product she's talking about? Like, don't explain too much about the product in your story. Just talk about how the product has helped and changed your life. So this is my boohoo story and my success story. Then let me tell you about a product that created my success story. So the purpose of this story is get them interested in the product so they'll listen. If you start off by talking about the product, they're going to be going, great, there's this plant that does this thing and they've put into this thing and then you drink it or you swallow it or you rub it on your skin. Why is that important to me?
So you feel like they're a little more closed-minded versus they'd be more open if they understood how it affected you?
Yep. And so if they hear your story first, you're going to create more interest because everyone wants to hear a story. People love stories. In fact, there's a book, I can't remember who wrote it, but it's called He Who Tells the Best Story Wins. Stories are really important to connect with people and to relate with people and to get people interested in what you're about to talk about. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So there's a quick outline for you. All right. No, I just went the wrong
I'm
way.
thinking about, like, a lot of people come late, and so I agree with you, but, like, how, I guess you just tell another closing story or something, like, for people that come late.
If people come late, well, and part of the scheduling time is you can plan on starting 15 minutes after you tell everyone to be there, right? And part of that first 15 minutes is you can be talking to people and making them feel welcome, getting everyone seated and comfortable, those types of things for the first 15 minutes. But don't tell them you're going to start at this time. Say the party starts or the event starts. and then you can be doing other things while you're waiting for people to come in. Have music going if you're in a big, like a hotel room, motel room, or something, conference room, and you have a bigger room. Have some music playing in the background, kind of a low level to where people can still talk, but it's not just silence type of thing. So,
Okay.
all right. I'm going the wrong direction here. Where are we going? Okay. So, how do you invite people to this event? What's the most effective way to inform people? Most people use social media text because you can inform a lot of people very quickly. How effective is that? Not very effective at all. If you get a personal handwritten invitation in the mail on fancy paper, are you going to read that? What the heck? Whoa, someone send me, right? You're interested in that one. If you get an email in your inbox or a text, and are you going to open up and read that one? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on who it's from, right? Each person needs a customized personal invite. Okay, it needs to be professional looking. You're running a business. Make it look like a business, okay? It needs to be personal, and I call it fancy, but make it unique, make it special so that they feel special when they get that invitation. Like a wedding announcement. Do you feel special when you get a wedding announcement? Nowadays, not so much. I got a wedding announcement the other day. Literally, it was like cardstock folded in half, and then it had this illustrated image and no face. It was just brown. I was like, who is this? I don't know who this is. I had to look at the name and go, oh, that's who that is, right? It didn't make me feel very special. I didn't even go to the wedding or the reception because I didn't feel special enough to go. So I'm kind of selfish, but that's not the reason why. But no, you want to make them feel special about why you're inviting them. Okay? If possible, at all possible, in the invitation, when you're inviting them to the party, why is it important to them? Think about, why are you inviting them? And if you can effectively communicate that in the invitation, that's going to make sure they come. Okay? Because they're related to you, or they're a neighbor, or they're a friend, is not a good enough reason why to make them come. Okay? Make them feel special. Make them feel they're needed. People like to feel needed. People like to feel special. Do that in your invitation. And remember, they're investing time. Why should they invest time to come to your party, your event, your webinar? And try to customize that to each person. In your perfect downline profile, you had some that were circled and underlined. Those are the ones you want to make sure they get a really personal invitation. Take some extra time for them, because those are really the ones you're really wanting to sign up in your downline. But make sure everyone gets some type of an invitation. And the more personal it gets, the more likely they're going to come to your event. Okay? In the invitation, there should be some type of a limited number of seats. Let people know that you don't have 50 seats. You're inviting 50 people, but there's a limited number of seats so that they need to RSVP by a certain date. Okay? Why would you want them to RSVP by a certain date?
So you got a chance to call them back.
So the ones that don't RSVP, you can call and check up on them, follow up on them, right? And so those who don't RSVP need a personal follow-up. That's a phone call, not a text. Make it personal again. Hey, I just want to make sure you got my invitation. Great. Is this something you're interested in? No, not really. Oh, wonderful. Okay, that's fine. Appreciate you being honest up front, straight, being honest with me. When I do business with family, it's got to be everyone's got to be honest. We need to be upfront with each other, and I appreciate you being that way with me. How's the kids doing? How's Bob doing? Right? And you just make it pleasant. Don't make it just business, and then move on. Great. Have a great week. Right? They got the invitation. They're not interested. Perfect. Okay. But keep it positive, exciting, and always give an increase of life. We haven't talked about that in the 10-10 program. You'll learn more about giving increase of life. But basically, it's just making them feel better after talking to you than they felt before they picked up the phone. Okay, when you give an increase of life, anytime you do business with anybody, that client, that customer, that person should leave the business transaction feeling better about who they are. And so make them feel better about who they are before you hang up the phone. And you can do that in ways of like giving a compliment, expressing gratitude. Those types of things always make people feel good. So, all right, any questions yet? Pretty straightforward. All right, so remember, this is a learn-do class. So your assignments, send a personal invite to your event or your webinar, whatever you're doing, to everyone in on your perfect client profile list, all 25, 50, or how many people you got on there. Send an invite to everyone this week, okay? Hopefully you've got your date. Your mentor, the person above you, should have helped you pick a place and a location by now to have your event if you're going to do a party or an event. If you're doing a webinar, hopefully you've got that all set up and figured out how to do that. But if you haven't, get that set up. When am I going to hold it? Where am I going to hold it? Get this all set up and then send an invite to everybody. Okay? Make it professional, personal, and fancy. Pitch what you teach at the event. Okay? Don't pitch one thing and teach something else. Make sure that the invite is inviting them to what you're going to teach, and it meshes and goes together. If you're going to teach product, pitch product and invite them to come learn about a product. If you're going to teach about the business and the business side because you're trying to get people to sign up in your downline and build your downline, then you're going to want to pitch and teach about the business. Okay? And your perfect client profile list, you may have two of them. You may have one for product and one for business. And so make sure you're pitching the same thing or the right thing to the right person so the right people come to the right party. And you can do two parties. You can do one for products so you can get some customers, and you can do one for the business side to build your downline. And you can do two different parties or two different webinars or two different events and invite and have two different versions to go through. One of the things that makes it a little bit easier, I think, depending on a natural flow, is if you sell the product and because you love the product, then sell the product. Okay, but by selling the product, you're naturally going to lead into people signing up in your downline as distributors or partners, because once they start, a month after they do the product or 2 months after they've been using the product, they're seeing the results. That's when you can go back and approach them and say, hey, how would you like to learn how to make money of this? Or how would you like to get your product for free? You love the product, you're seeing great results, but how would you like to get it for free? And then that's where you can transition a customer into a distributor or a partner in your downline that way. But there are some people who may not be interested in the product. They're just interested in having a business and making money. And those you want to educate and pitch totally different than someone who just can benefit from the product. So as you're looking at their needs, your perfect client profiles, when you're looking at their pains, fears, and needs, if financial struggles is one of them, do you want to pitch a product or a business to them that's going to help them make money? Okay. If they're having health issues and your business represents health products, you may want to pitch a product to them and then work the business side into them afterwards. Okay. But again, it's you know these people best. Identify their pains, their fears, and then teach them how you are going to be able to solve that problem for them. Second assignment is create a presentation to teach people about your product. If you haven't got a presentation put together, you're going to want to organize that. When you're looking at those videos that talk about product, in that presentation you can show videos. Don't feel like you have to be the one talking all the time. You can stand up and say, well, I want to start by showing this video that's going to explain the product really well and show the video, right? And then you can talk about this product's done blah, 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 this is how it works, and then you can expound on that video and explain more how that video and what they just talked about hits their pains, fears, and frustrations. Okay? Don't feel like you're going to have to do all the talking. Use the videos. Your business has invested a lot of money into these videos, and they're powerful and they're effective, so use them in your presentation as you're teaching about it. But don't have it all videos. It's not movie night. They came to hear you talk about and teach you about your business and your product you represent. And so make sure you have that. Practice telling your story. Okay, if you haven't got that story down, rehearse it. Practice until you're competent and confident in your story. Practice your presentation, what you're going to teach, until you're competent and confident in it. Remember, they have invested their time. They deserve the best, your best. Okay, don't wing it. Don't wing it. Okay, people try to wing it, and you can't wing it. It's your business. Treat it like a business. Okay? If you had a storefront business and you were just trying to wing it, you will not succeed. Okay? Competent confidence is key to building that trust, maintaining that trust, so that people will be on board with what you're trying to do. And people are attracted to confidence and competence. So make sure you have that in your presentation. If that means pushing your event a couple weeks, push the event a couple weeks. Don't rush into the event and wing it, because you will not get the results unless you're a really good winger. And some people are really good wingers, and they wing it, and it's just a personality type, and people just love it. But most people don't do that well at winging it. So make sure you're confident and competent in what you're talking about. Any questions?